we're back with some arm balances, and again, not that I can do every single one of them. I can do most of them. At least the first progression of them, maybe not all of the progressions where you have feet over the head or on the head, things like that. But my favorite part is you're not thinking about the rest of the day while you're doing it. It's probably one of the easiest ways to get really focused and present in the body and have a little bit of fun. It's not often we get to kind of do some of these in our day. We're often stuck at a desk and being adults, boring responsibilities. So have fun with this series. Trust that you are strong enough. I'm actually gonna have Pamela come into a high plank. I think we showed you this in the beginning of the 20 days, but in case you weren't a part of that, it's not so much strong arming yourself into these postures. You have bones, they are very strong. Pamela is, I was making her do some warm up, so she is also very sweaty. If your human has sweaty legs, is this okay? Yeah. Great. And I'm a little taller, so I'm gonna do more of a down dog. And Pamela's wrists are just fine. Is that okay? It actually is easier, I find, to do acro yoga, right? You could do your first down dog with a human on your back, and it's easier than holding Norm's like 7 or 8 breaths or however long it is that I block out in that first down dog. Maybe because we're really in alignment, we're ready to support the human and ourselves. So the same premise applies, right? If you can do high plank with a human on you, your wrists are going to be okay in these forearm balances. It is completely normal to be worried about it though, because we don't spend a lot of time walking around on our hands and our wrists. It's normally our hooves. So you want to fan fingers. You have a natural sheath that wraps around the wrist. So as you fan fingers, it gets a little tighter, and you just want to think about squeezing strength into your wrists the same way we squeeze into shoulders and hips and knees. And then of course, if any point in time they start to bother you, you want to stretch them out. And of course, you can press pause and come back to this anytime. But trust that your body, for the most part, with exception for some injuries, is able to do this. And it is okay if it's a hot mess. All right, so we're going to get started with crow and duck. Crow, crane, duck, and maybe by surprise, a one-legged crow. Works better when we just throw it at Pamela. So starting in child's pose, and take your knees wide, and we're going to move through this, but keep in mind you can hit pause, take all the little things that you need on the in-between, or come back to it again and again. But we want to make sure we get to the goodies before you run out of too much energy. So just 3 breaths, soft shoulders, soft jaws. Again, the real trick about getting into these postures is having a little bit of ease, and it's all balance. So being super playful with that. We'll exaggerate when we get there, but for now you're going to bring yourself into a table, curl your toes, and we'll find downward facing. And if it feels good to bend the knees and walk it out, go for it. You can take all the things that feel particularly good to you this morning. We're going to take your right foot to the sky, peel open. You can be drawing circles. You can be doing leg extensions to the side wall. Never mind about bending the knee, whatever works for you. We're going to find that Uddiyana Bandha. So it's all about the hip hinge. Balance means we got to get most of the weight above our body, similar to inversions. So it means your buns got to get over the hips, over the shoulders rather. Knee towards your nose. Squeeze and rinse. Press it up and back. Right, already your wrists are taking up some of the work. Look at that, nice and strong. Tap an elbow. Tap your nose again, really doesn't matter, take it up and back. We'll do that one last time, maybe bring it across, and then bring it up and back. Crow is actually easier than the knee to nose thing, because once you're in balance, some of that work dissipates. And then lunging. We're gonna work forearms, maybe to some blocks. When we come into duck later on, you'll get a sense of why, maybe 2 blocks, 1 block. Some of us maybe no blocks. Certainly I would need some blocks. Working the deep hinge in that right hip. You got the ball of your back foot, so you can shimmy around. You can always bring the knee down. Certainly anything that you need to wiggle in here. 3. But keeping the shoulders pressing down today, kind of hugging a little into, if you could hug your armpits down the side body, activating the lats, latissimus dorsi, big giant bat wings. They actually connect your arm bone, right, to your torso. Kind of hugging those arms, and elbows are going to follow because they're attached, right? So slowly curl the back toes. We're going to step towards the front of your mat. You can move the blocks to the side. We're going to come rolling through flat back all the way up to standing. Big stretch, hips press. You can take it up and over, side to side. Take whatever you need here. We're going to sink into Malasana. So toe heel your feet out a little wider. Toes out, heels in. Sink the hips. Get a sense of the body, right? Depending on your joints, maybe you sit on a block or 2, but once you hook the elbows, you prayer palm it. Sometimes we're cueing prayer palms, press elbows to open up the hips, right? To stretch through the inner groin, to open the knees. Well, you can do that all by using your body, which is really how we want to do that. So activate your hip adductors and peel, kind of butterfly those knees out a little wider. You're going to use some of those glutes, open up the knees, and then drop the palms as you lift the hips. Uttanasana fold. Inhale to lengthen, and then step back, chaturanga or not. You can step right to down dog if you'd like. Knees might come down. Maybe you set up locust. You have all of the normal options in your practice to take. But for now, we're going to take, when you're ready, left foot to the sky. Peel open, 3-legged dog. Right, still in the wrists, still in the palms, fanning fingers, pressing hands, fingertips towards the mats. And we're going to take a little knee to nose and elbow. So rinsing the breath out, really focusing on squeezing. You can take it up and back. You can take it all 3 at once, whatever's working for you. But really rinsing the breath out. Maybe bring it across, find that last elbow tap. And then bring it up and back, right into lunge. We're going to save some energy. Grab a block, all right? Squeeze into that right glute. It's going to help with the stretch on the front of the hip, which we'll come back to at the end of practice. A lot of hinging today, but press the shoulders down, right? Activate the lats here. It's like you're hugging your armpits to the side body. We'll take 3. So rinsing the breath. Keeping that breath of yours moving. First thing we tend to do is stop breathing when we get there. So 1 more cycle. Awesome. So you find your palms again, work the blocks out from underneath you, and we'll step to the front of your mat. Through flat back all the way to standing. Come on up. Big stretch, maybe a little bit of length, and we're going to sink Malasana. 1 more time. And we're going to find a little more of a stretch. So as you shift the weight into the right foot, left arm is sweeping to the sky. Stretch. Rinse. Activate the belly. And we'll switch sides. Transfer the weight. Maybe it's onto the ball of 1 foot. And as you exhale to drop the palm, lift the hips. We'll finish that sun A. Inhale to lengthen. And then exhale, step back to chaturanga. Up dog, cobra, sphinx even. You get all the time in the world. You can come back, pause. But eventually hips are up and back. And we're going to bend the knees. Actually, bring your knees towards your mat to hover. So you're hovering in tabletop, very similar. We're going to take the right knee. Right knee is going to move towards the right elbow and back. No extension. Left elbow and back. So you're just going to go back and forth. Uddiyana, Bandha. Yeah, same leg. 3-ish. So that left knee stays kind of right where it is, and then come back to hover. We'll go right to the other side. So knees are still hovering. Tap, tap. And maybe you don't even go back. You just go side to side, right? We want to target that hip hinge and then release the knees. Ready? All right, here we go. We're going to find down dog 1 last time. You're gonna make a shorter stance and you're gonna look between your thumbs. So take the eyeballs, so reach towards your thumbs, bend the knees, drive your sits bones. We're gonna frog jump to the front of your mat. Presto, changeo, boom. All right, so if you got any air in the frog jump, didn't matter if you jumped an inch or 4 or all the way to the front of the mat, your wrists are doing it, right? We were hovering, lifting a leg. So as long as you're still in a good space about the wrists, fan the fingers. You're gonna take Malasana one last time. And for crow pose, we'll come into it and then we'll kind of back out of it and we'll give you some options, which are kind of placing a block or a bolster where you can bring your head down and then work your feet up, which is where you can also practice extending a leg, maybe lifting the head. But for now, when you set up Malasana, notice elbows are on top of the knees. They're not on the inside. You want them right on the top so that, like that high plank, we're stacking the weight using the strength of the bones. So as Pamela reaches her arms forward, so just reach for a minute. We're going to exaggerate. Notice how, yeah, so keep the elbows on. And then instead of bringing the palms down, she's going to let herself rock forward. So now she has all of this movement from the balls of her feet. She can press forward. And it's all about transferring the weight. Yeah, so as you press forward and bend the elbows, you're looking forward and stacking some weight. Awesome. So playful. Come in, come out. Once you find that low plank, it's kind of scary because you got to get your weight forward. You have to get your face moving towards the floor. And maybe the baby step is to take the block so that as you start to lift your butt, you bring your the forehead down to the block. And then you can practice lifting the feet. If you're on board here, you're going to transition the strength over to one side and see what it's like, maybe 87 to one side so that maybe you can extend a leg. It's easier to start there with your forehead down so you'll have another point of contact. But by all means, if you come into crow and you want to see about extending one leg, by all means. And remember, yeah, it might not always happen. So we'll try one more time with the block a little bit lower. And I'll adjust as you come down. Yeah. And then maybe a leg. It's a tremendous amount of strength. Oh, yeah. So one trick would be to extend the leg up, almost like we're going to do an inversion, right? Like a tripod. And then lower the leg. As the leg lowers, it's probably going to bring your head with you, and you'll be like a little teeter-totter. For now, if you're like Pamela, we are working through your energy tank pretty quickly. So the difference between crow and crane is crow is on the back of your tricep closer to the elbow. Crane has your knees closer up into the armpit, and then we work to kind of extend the arms. The baby step, if you want to try it, is somewhere in between. Sort of like crow, but elbows, or knees rather, kind of working into the armpits. You can still bend the elbows, and over time, if you rock your weight a little farther forward, looking up your mat, you might find a little extension of the elbows. Or just lift the hips. So kind of like you were going to press into handstand from there. Extend the arms. Or the legs. Yeah. If your brain is short-circuiting, awesome. Okay. So try to do like a press into the arms. Yeah. Yeah. And then release. It takes a lot of strength. And also a lot of brain power because you have to think of kind of doing handstand and the knee tucks. Yeah. Which require a lot of mobility and a lot of strength. So the last thing we're going to do is duck. Remember, you can come back to them again and again, but duck is less about arm strength and balance because now your forearms are going to be on the floor, but it's a massive amount of squeeze into those hip flexors, your Uddiyana Bandha. If you ever wondered what Uddiyana Bandha was, legit question, you'll feel it now. It's that draw up and in of the core, and you'll feel as you come into duck. So from Malasana, you're gonna work your forearms to the floor just like we were trying to do in low lunge. And as you keep leaning forward, looking up towards your thumbs, press off the balls of your feet, lift your hips a little. And you are tucked into this little ball, trying to lift the toes. If you start cramping, then you're doing it right.
And then you go here.
Wherever they can kind of get to from your Malasana. So as you come in, you're bending the elbows, exactly. So if you want a little core work.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, you're barely off the ground, which is a little more comforting, but it's also less comforting for your hip hinge. Awesome. So we're gonna come up into a lazy upward facing dog and find a little bit of space in the front of your hips. You don't have to be, it could even be Sphinx, but we'll try to bring some balance to the hinge at the hips. You're like, enough of the arms, lady.
That's leg balance.
Yeah. All right, awesome. As you come through table, you're gonna cross your legs, come onto your bum, and come all the way onto your back. So you're gonna do that one more time, but you're not physically moving. You can extend your legs for Shavasana. You're like, thank goodness, yeah. So one of the most powerful things is your mind. Just like, professionals do prepping for a meeting, athletes prep for any sport. You think it through in your mind, right? You've done it a million times before you show up. Whether you're pitching that perfect game, you'll already realize I don't play basketball or baseball, slam dunk, whatever it is. You're rehearsing a conversation you're going to have with a good friend or a boss about, a promotion or talking to your child, whatever it is. You're going to make a sandwich. Right? It starts with your mind. You're thinking about, oh, I'm hungry. Ooh, whatever, tofu, turkey, whatever you're going to put on it. It all starts with your mind. So feel yourself. Don't physically move. Just feel yourself in Malasana. Feel yourself plant the elbows, reach the palms out, feeling the lightness that you have now because you're in your mind and you have all the strength of the body. You lift the hips. Toes lift, you feel your toes touch, and your sits bones are reaching to the sky. And all of a sudden, you're so strong, you're extending the arms and tucking the knees up into the armpits, right into crane. Ooh-wee. You might even extend right up into a handstand if you did the last 7 days with us. And then you're going to slowly tuck down to Malasana. Yeah, we're going to do that one more time in your mind, but this time as you start to come into crow, a little more playful balance, almost like a little teeter-totter. As you come into your crow full of strength, instead of going towards your crane, you're extending your right leg behind you and lifting the heel a little higher, bringing the right knee back to the elbow. We'll try the left side reach. Remember, you're going to bring your face a little closer to the mat so hips are higher. It's easy to balance. Bring that knee back down and Malasana. So we'll try it one more time. Duck. As you feel your forearms come to your mat, hip hinge, belly is in, that kind of knee to nose sensation. And gazing up the mat, bending the elbows, you feel the strength of your belly, toes lift. If you were with us last week, maybe you come in tucking knees, extending the legs right into your forearm balance. Woo woo. Otherwise, slowly come back to Malasana. Sinking almost through Pashasana, biscuits come down, rolling on to your back, extending your legs, meeting yourself in Shavasana. And with gratitude, just the mere ability to take a whack at these postures. Heart pumping blood, lungs are working. Fill up one more good breath, tuck those knees. We're going to rock and roll ourselves to seated. Nice job. And as you come on up, placing ourselves on purpose, right? Even if it's just the change in energy, a little shake up in your day, a bit of playfulness. Palms come to forehead center. And so much respect. Together we bow and we say, Namaste. We'll see you tomorrow.